Welcome back, guys. You already know, listen, I love these videos here. These are some of my favorite videos just to see the effect of the dumbness that Donald Trump has installed. The relationships that he has ruined. You know, I love to see these videos and see the after effects because it just shows how dumb he is. So we're going to check out this video. 6 U.S. states hit hard by Canada's travel boycott. Now, I may love to see these videos, but I don't like what's going on. Let me be clear. I don't like that the relationships are being ruined. I don't like that both sides are suffering from this nonsense. I don't like it at all. You know, when I watch videos that talk about the relationship between Canada and the U.S. and the history of the two, man, it makes me sad to see what's going on today. So, you know, I love to see these videos just as, you know, the proof of that the president is a chump. But I don't like what's going on. But anyway, let's go get into this video. Let me know what you guys think about this. The ban, the boycott and everything. Let me know in the comment section. We're going to have a conversation about it. And we can talk about Donald Trump if you want to. Well, anyway, let's go, guys.
Towns are empty. Businesses are closing. Tourism economies are collapsing. Canada just pulled the plug, and 6 U.S. states are already paying the price. What if one decision across the border could wipe out your town's biggest income source overnight? This isn't a hypothetical. It's happening right now. Today, we're revealing the top 6 U.S. states hit hardest by Canada's travel boycott. And the stories are more shocking than you think. Canada's travel restrictions and informal boycott of U.S. destinations are shaking up border economies. For many towns and cities, Canadian tourism isn't just a luxury. It's the lifeblood of local survival. If you live near the border or rely on tourist income, this situation could affect your job, your business, even your entire community. So smash that like button and subscribe, because you deserve to hear the truth the mainstream media won't touch. Let's jump right into it.
Let's go.
Number 6 is Maine. And what's happening there is more than a tourism dip. It's an economic and emotional unraveling for entire communities. In 2024, Old Orchard Beach, a town long known as a favorite destination for Canadian families, saw rows of hotels and motels remain closed during what should have been peak summer season. Businesses that once thrived on Canadian long weekends and Quebec school holidays are now barely surviving. According to Maine's Office of Tourism, Canadian visitors dropped by more than 60% compared to pre-boycott levels, wiping out tens of millions in revenue in just 1 year. Imagine a sunny summer day with no lines for fried clams, no crowds on the beach boardwalk, and no French being spoken in the shops or restaurants. That's what locals in York, Bar Harbor, and Ogunquit are experiencing. For many small business owners, these aren't just customers. They're family friends, repeat visitors who've come for decades. Now, those relationships and revenues have vanished. Families who depend on seasonal income, whether they run a seafood shack, rent out cottages, or work as servers, are facing real hardship. Some have already taken out emergency loans. Others are quietly listing their properties for sale, unable to carry the cost of another slow season. What you won't hear in the media is how many of these businesses had their best years because of Canadians, and now they're watching that stability evaporate. If nothing changes, local business groups estimate that over 300 tourism-related businesses in Maine could close for good by 2026. As one local put it, without the Canadians, it's not summer, it's just waiting. Number 5 is Michigan, where the impact of Canada's travel boycott is hitting harder than many expected, especially in communities that have always relied on strong cross-border ties. In 2024, the Blue Water Bridge connecting Port Huron to Sarnia, Ontario, saw its lowest non-pandemic traffic volume in over 25 years. On weekends that used to be jam-packed with Canadian day trippers, outlet malls and gas stations now sit half empty. According to the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, the state has lost more than $1.3 billion annually in Canadian tourism revenue, a devastating blow to local economies. Border cities like Sault Ste. Marie.
Annually? How's it annually if this just started? When did the boycott start exactly? Because they lost the 1.3 billion in these past few months. That's insane.
Where Canadians once came in droves to shop, dine, and attend events, have been especially hard hit. Imagine once busy downtown streets now lined with for lease signs or casino floors with only a fraction of their usual weekend foot traffic. These aren't just businesses, they're lifelines for thousands of workers. Hotel clerks, bartenders, retail clerks, and taxi drivers are finding their hours cut or their jobs gone altogether. Families in these regions are tightening their budgets, pulling kids from after-school programs and shelving plans for home improvements. The deeper issue is how entwined these communities have become with Canadian traffic over generations. During past economic struggles, like the 2008 recession, cross-border travel actually helped keep many towns afloat. Now, the very lifeline that once saved them is gone. What you won't hear on the news is that some Michigan towns are quietly lobbying federal leaders for binational tourism recovery funds. Without intervention, local leaders predict a wave of bankruptcies and rising unemployment that could take years to reverse. As one business owner put it, "We weren't just neighbors, we were each other's customers. Now it feels like we're on an island." Number 4 is New York, particularly upstate New York, where the effects of Canada's travel boycott have become a slow-burning crisis. In 2024, the economic heart of places like Niagara Falls, the Thousand Islands, and the Adirondacks was visibly hollowed out. Hotels that were once booked solid during summer and fall foliage seasons offered steep discounts just to fill rooms. According to figures from I Love NY, Canadian visitors spent over $1 billion annually before the boycott. Now, that figure has dropped by nearly half. Niagara Falls, New York, for example, used to thrive off busloads of Canadian tourists crossing over for day trips, shopping, and entertainment. Now, walkways along the falls are quieter, souvenir shops close early, and restaurants once buzzing with cross-border traffic sit half full on weekends. The tourism drop has forced local businesses to scale back staffing, reduce hours, and in some cases, shut down entirely. For many families in these regions, the consequences are deeply personal. Summer jobs for teens, part-time gigs for parents, and supplemental incomes for retirees have all dried up. In smaller towns, school districts that rely heavily on sales tax revenues are facing budget shortfalls, cutting extracurricular programs, freezing hiring, and delaying building repairs. Historically, upstate New York has always leaned on cross-border trade and tourism, stretching back to Prohibition-era ferry traffic and cross-border shopping in the 80s and 90s. What the national media ignores is that this boycott is weakening those deeply rooted economic ties. If nothing changes, local leaders predict long-term stagnation in areas already struggling with youth flight and aging infrastructure. As one resident near Alexandria Bay put it, "The river still flows, but the people don't." Number 3 is Florida, where the absence of Canadian snowbirds in 2024 has triggered a ripple effect across some of the state's most tourism-dependent communities. For decades, Canadians, especially retirees from Quebec and Ontario, have flocked to Florida's Gulf Coast during the winter months, fueling local economies from Naples to Sarasota and down into Fort Lauderdale and Palm Beach. This year, that wave never came. According to Visit Florida, the state has lost over $2 billion in seasonal revenue from long-term Canadian visitors, a staggering number that continues to climb. Imagine condo complexes where the lights stay off through January, RV parks with rows of empty lots, and golf courses operating at half capacity. That's the new reality for many Florida towns. Businesses that cater specifically to snowbirds, like car rental shops, pharmacies, restaurants, and mobile service companies, are taking huge losses. Many have had to cut staff or shut down for the season. For working families and retirees who rely on seasonal income, this has meant serious hardship. Restaurant workers are seeing fewer shifts. Airbnb hosts are defaulting on mortgages. Snowbird-heavy communities are witnessing a spike in small business closures, with many unsure if they'll make it to next season. Historically, Florida embraced Canadian seasonal residents as an economic pillar, going back to the 1970s when the state actively marketed itself as a winter haven. What you won't hear on the news is that many Canadian homeowners are now selling their properties, citing both the boycott and rising tensions. If this trend continues, realtors warn of a looming crash in Florida's seasonal housing market. As one waitress in Naples said, "They were like family. Now it feels like we've lost our winter heartbeat." Number 2 is Vermont.
That's the way it's going to be. Because of Donald Trump. All because of one individual, man. This is ridiculous. People's lives have changed. Livelihood have changed. Yes. Jobs will be lost. Homes will be lost. You'll be selling your home. You're going to, there's going to be a lack of revenue. But also, the most important for me is the friendship, the relationship that's being ruined because of this. That's the sad part.
A state where winter tourism isn't just seasonal fun. It's the backbone of the local economy. In 2024, the absence of Canadian skiers and vacationers has turned many resort towns into quiet, snow-covered shells of what they once were. Jay Peak Resort, which historically welcomed thousands of Canadian visitors every season, was forced to cancel 2 major events co-sponsored with Quebec-based companies due to lack of cross-border interest. According to the Vermont Department of Tourism and Marketing, cross-border ski traffic has dropped by 51%, leading to millions in lost revenue. Imagine a January morning in a ski town like Stowe or Jay, normally buzzing with early risers hitting the slopes.
When you talking about ski town, why are we looking at these fields and plains and these rivers? Show us some people skiing. Who's the editor of this video? Call me, man. I'll get you editing right. Before they were talking about Michigan, but they showing beaches and stuff like, man, there's no beach there's no ocean in Michigan.
Instead, lift lines are nearly empty, and parking lots are only half full. Local inns are offering steep discounts, restaurants are closing early, and ski shops are liquidating gear just to cover rent. For residents who depend on this narrow winter window to earn most of their annual income, the consequences are severe. Families that run rental cabins, teach ski lessons, or work in hospitality are seeing their earnings disappear. In colder, rural parts of Vermont, where heating costs are high and jobs are few, this isn't just inconvenient, it's destabilizing. Some towns have already requested emergency economic assistance. This isn't the first time Jay Peak has faced hardship. In 2016, it was embroiled in an EB5 investment fraud scandal. But just as it was recovering, the Canadian boycott delivered another crushing blow. What the media overlooks is how emotionally tied Vermont is to its Canadian neighbors. As one ski instructor said, "It's not just business, it's tradition." And now it's gone. Number 1 is Washington, the U.S. state hit hardest by Canada's travel boycott. And the damage is deep, widespread, and still growing. In 2024, the bustling cross-border flow between British Columbia and Washington slowed to a crawl. Cities like Bellingham, Blaine, and even Seattle suburbs have seen a 75% drop in Canadian visitors. According to the Washington Tourism Alliance, that loss amounts to over 4 million fewer Canadian trips and more than $3.5 billion in lost revenue, crippling industries that once thrived on weekend shoppers and long-haul tourists. In Bellingham, the Belly's Fair Mall used to be packed with Canadians filling carts with groceries, clothing, and electronics. Now, entire wings of the mall are shuttered. Gas stations near the border that once saw lines of BC plates are empty. Hotels report record low occupancy. Outlet malls in Tulalip and Seattle Premium Outlets are cutting staff and shortening hours. Imagine standing in a shopping center built for thousands and hearing nothing but silence. The economic impact extends beyond retail. Restaurants, ferry terminals, salons, and even healthcare clinics that once catered to Canadian visitors are seeing sharp declines. For cross-border families, the emotional toll is just as high. Birthdays, reunions, and even funerals are being missed due to hesitation or protest over the boycott. Historically, Washington and British Columbia have shared more than just a border. They've shared an economy, a culture, and a rhythm.
For sure.
What the media rarely mentions is that this isn't just a tourism dip. It's a fracture in a long-standing partnership. Without recovery efforts, border towns fear long-term population loss and permanent business closures. As one shop owner in Blaine put it, "We built everything around the border, and now the border's just a line." Thanks for watching. Canada's boycott is more than a political
Man, what is
statement.
that? Is that
It's
China?
reshaping lives across the
Hold on, what
US.
is that? Hold on. Was that the Great Wall? Hold on, dog. What is
Thanks for
this?
watching.
Is this in... No, hold on. Is this in Canada? To me, it looked like the Great Wall of China. That's what it looked like to me. Now, I could be wrong. Is that the Great Wall of China? Or is that right there in Canada? Let me know, please. Because I need to know. Because if it's China, why the heck is this video being showed in the... Why is this clip being showed in the video about the U.S. and Canada? Doesn't make sense.
Canada's boycott is more than a political statement. It's reshaping lives across the U.S. border. Which state's story hit you the hardest? Drop a comment below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more untold stories that matter.
All of them. All of them hit me the hardest because I don't like what's going on. Not one of them hit me more than the other. It's sad. All around the board. And hopefully we can get, things together and get it back right how it's supposed to be. But let me know down in the comment section what you guys thought about this video and how you guys see the foreseeable future. I have a lot of new Canadian friends that have joined the channel. Please, for you guys, what are the effects taking place over there on the Canadian side? They talk a lot about what's going on in America, but they really talk less about what's going on in Canada because of this. And I'd just like to know you guys' opinions. But I'll see you in the next video.